Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. We are here in Hungary. It is time for the Hungarian Grand Prix, and what a Grand Prix it is going to be. It is the Midwest Formula 1 Division 3 Championship here, round 10 out of 12 as we are just jumping into short qualifying. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Fallen Monkeys. I'm your host here this evening for the show, for the qualifying for the race, and very excited to kick things off here. A full 20 driver grid here to kick off the session. You love to see that, and it is absolutely going to be fantastic as we've already got the first driver to head out on the track. It's looking to be a racing point, and that is Knuckles 89 heading out on the medium tires here for their first lap here around the Hungaroring. Now, the Hungaroring is a very tricky track here. It doesn't look overly difficult when you look at it at first glance, but it definitely has some teeth. There is a nickname I've heard for it. It is a Monaco with walls here, or a Monaco without walls, I should say, as you've got a little bit more runoff, but still very technical, very difficult, especially around this corner. That white curb can definitely send you for a spin, send you for a ride if you're not careful. Definitely a place to watch out for, and honestly, all of Sector 2, to be honest, is very tricky to maneuver, get it perfectly, but we'll see who can get it best here as we are continuing onwards with short qualifying. Couple drivers hitting the track to get their outlap set up here, but like I said, Knuckles is leading the charge, so we'll stick with him for the time being until he heads around. We'll have him take us through a lap here, as he is the lucky driver to get pointed out here for the flying lap. Around the final corner he goes, and here we are. Let's jump on board and start the lap. Across the start-finish straight you go, barreling down towards turn 1, nearly 200 miles an hour here, hard on the braking, and it's essentially a U-turn here around turn 1. Very nice line. Stick to the inside, wide exit there. Set yourself up for the next set of corners. Now this downhill left, you want to get on the power as early as you can, but gotta watch out or else you're going to send the car a little bit too wide, and that can affect your exit out of the next section of the track, the downhill to get the corner. Don't want to run wide around that corner, that's for sure, or else that will be an invalidation. Best case scenario. Of course, that right-hander with the white curb that I talked about before. A little chicane here heading into turn 2. Now, of course, you've got the right, the left, into 4th. You can ride this and right up the gears now, I should say, up to 5th. Quickly up into 6th. Just a little bit of a lift before heading back on the power here, or else you'll lose a lot of time if you do hit the brakes. Now hard on the braking to head into Sector 3 in the final few corners. The penultimate corner, which is a little bit like the final corner, but a little bit tighter than the final corner, which is this right here. Don't hit that wall. It's dividing the pit and the start-finish. You're going to have a bad time, and there you have it. That is a lap around the Hungaroring. It's a 1:17.2 for Knuckles. Young DJ CJ very quickly going faster with a 1:14.7. So a little bit more reflective here from Young DJ of the times we're going to expect to see at the top of the leaderboards here by the time we hit the end of qualifying. Young DJ leading the way. K-Dog, she's up into 2nd, but quickly knocked down into 3rd and 4th as Maida and Chunky Corgi getting their first lap time set. So most of the drivers here showing a pace around the 1:17s. A driver into the 1:16s, and of course Young DJ CJ leading the charge with that very blistering fast 1:14 as more times are starting to hit. Rise sets a time into the 1:16s, a good time from him. Here comes Highways around the final corner. What's his time going to be? It's a 1:16.4, good enough for 2nd fastest, as now we're starting to see a little bit more times into those 1:16s, the mid-way point of the 1:16s here today. Valentine, he's in the Ferrari reserving here today. We'll see what he can do. He's been in a couple different seats so far in his reserve role, but he has not missed any performance ability, and I'm sure today will be no different. Now, I believe I just got my weather report here for the race, for the session from the one and only Pork Chops, and it looks like it's going to be sunny for essentially the entirety of the race, and then heading into a little bit of cloud, but no precipitation, no rain to worry about. So that is good news for the drivers, potentially good news for us as well here in the commentator's booth, as Valentine sets a 1:16 flat just about for his first lap time here in this short qualifying session. But no rain means the drivers can absolutely show their pace, show the best of their abilities, not have to worry about intermediate tires, wet tires, managing the setup to go fast in the wets. It's all about dry running here today, and that's that's the way we like it. The best drivers running in the best cars with the best grip options here, and that's what you like to see, especially around the Hungaroring. Here comes Unholy Red Eye heading across the start-finish straight line. It is a 1:16.9 for the Mercedes driver, rocking that number 95 Mercedes there on your screen. Puts him right around mid-pack. He was on the medium tires, and comparing to other medium tire runners thus far, he is third fastest on those mediums, but just got beaten out by Knuckles, who set another lap time, a 1:16.8 here with 11.5 minutes to go. Nobody's come anywhere near the time set by young DJ CJ. A driver who could very well do it, though, is Houdini as he's heading around the final corner. Let's see what the Ferrari can do here. Definitely the lead Ferrari here today. He goes second fastest, and it's a 1:15.241 for Houdini, so not fast enough to out-qualify young DJ CJ in this stage, both on the soft tires, but he did bring it close to within less than a second, right around half a second, separating young DJ CJ in the Red Bull and Houdini in second in that Ferrari, with Settlebut Hole setting a very good time. The third driver to break into the 1:15s, a 1:15.7 for the McLaren driver here today. A pretty good lap time for him, puts him up into P3, but still a little under 11 minutes to go here in this qualifying session. But just about everybody having a lap time here today, other than the likes of Kaz, JC, Racing Ginger, and Crustier T. The only four drivers who have yet to get a lap time on the board. Not even a banker lap here so far. Racing Ginger, though, looking to be on a timed lap on those mediums. So as he's heading around the final few corners, we'll see what his first time is going to look like here if he chooses to go on with the lap, which he does. Around the final corner he goes towards the line. What is it going to be here today with 10 minutes to go in qualifying? It is a 1:17.6 for Racing Ginger, so a top 15 for him, and we have seen Racing Ginger have some solid runs here in qualifying and of course the race, so hopefully today can be another one of those showings from the Haas driver. JC diving into the pits after an invalidation, not enjoying his lap time. But here, just past the 10-minute mark, it's still young DJ from Houdini, from Subtle, from Valentine, from Maida as your top five. Nothing has changed all that much through there, but we're going to start seeing some second laps here in this qualifying session. So more drivers are going to be hitting the track, setting their second or third laps. So we might see a little bit of shuffling here, especially as the track gets quicker. We'll see if drivers like K-Dog, if she can improve her lap time, benefit from the track evolution here around the final corner, choosing to go out with not too much traffic, get that track to herself, up into P9, a 1:16.7, so pretty good improvement from K-Dog. Strategy really working out for her here today around the Hungaroring thus far. But now the question is, where will she fall as more fast times are going to start falling between now and the end of the session. That's Pork Chops just getting out of the way in Sector 2, it looks like, allowing one of the Red Bulls to get by. That looks to be VTech that just had got by on his outlap on those soft tires, looking to improve from that P13 position. so we'll see what he can do once he gets towards his flying lap. But I do believe we've got the likes of Highways, who is now just about ready to start a lap, so we'll stick with him here today as he's going to take us around the Hungaroring through into the U-turn of turn 1, a little bit wider there from that spectator cam, but down the hill he goes towards the downhill left-hander. Does a very good job not going too wide around that downhill left, because that can very much so compromise your exit out of the next corner, which is the one you want to be carrying the most speed to leading into this corner. Now, of course, you've got the sausage curve of death, right-handed turn there, as we all know and love it. Or something like that, I guess I could say. But looking to be a pretty good lap, pretty clean lap from Highways up until this point. A little bit past the midway section, 2/3 done the lap now, and it's a second and a tenth faster. So the times do agree with me on that. But can Highways keep it together through the final few sectors, final few corners, I should say, of the lap, and put in that lap time to remember here? 7 minutes to go in this qualifying session, so time is starting to tick down as Highways sets a 1:14.9, so he goes second fastest here in this qualifying, so definitely going to see the time shake up. Young DJ CJ has an invalidation on his lap, so he will not be improving through this particular lap that he is on. We'll see if he's going to stay out for another one, or if he's going to dive into the pits and put all of his money on that final lap here by the end of the session. Subtle but whole, though, he is currently on a flying lap through into Sector 1. We'll stick with the McLaren for just a little bit here, as I believe we'll see. Excuse me, apologies for that, but we'll see what Subtle can do if he can improve on that P4, which is where he is sitting right now, a 1:15.7. Once he gets to the end of Sector 2, though, we'll get a much better idea of what the time is going to be, if it's going to be one for improvement, or if it's going to be a write-off, as we'll see it now. It's nearly 4/10 faster than his previous lap time, so it is looking like an improvement. Could jump him up one position as far as we're aware now, but one very clean final sector can really save a lot of time if he absolutely nails it here. Quickly on the power around the final corner, you can extend the track limits a tiny little bit there, and it's half a second faster for Subtle, and he goes up into P3. It's a 1:15.227 for the McLaren driver, and that puts him right behind Highways and just ahead of the Ferrari of Houdini, who's just starting a flying lap himself right here, right now. His teammate Valentine a little bit further ahead. He is through into Sector 2, and he is going much slower, so definitely not going to be an improvement for the likes of Valentine here today. Crest Tier T, though, he just starting a flying lap right now. Looks like he might have been on one previously, putting him up into a P9, so a solid lap time there. We'll see if he can improve as he continues his way around the track. JC up into 11th. Rise coming around the final corner. Let's see if Rise is going to improve through his lap time. Yes, he does. Jumps all the way up into P6, goes Rise on that lap, so a very good lap from the AlphaTauri driver, and just outside the top 5 for him here. Houdini, though, he's looks like he's abandoned his lap time. He was not happy with it, so he's just going to slow it right down, get out of the ERS, not waste the tires, and go for one more lap, I think, between now and the end of the session. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go, so getting down to the nitty-gritty here in qualifying now, as we're gonna see the best possible times here around the Hungaroring very shortly. Young DJ is still leading in this qualifying session with that monster lap he set right at the beginning. Looks like he has improved, though, to a 1:14.280, but very crucially appears to be out of fuel while setting that lap time. So it is good. It's gonna take him possibly a long time to get around the track here and get that car fueled up if he wants to do one more. Here comes Houdini now on a flying lap. So we'll ride on board with the Ferrari driver here and see what he can do as he is heading on his flying lap now, as I've said before. We'll see if he can compete and maybe out-qualify the likes of young DJ CJ. He needs to take about a second off of his lap time if he wants to do that here. 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go in this qualifying session, and it's starting to get down to the nitty-gritty here in qualifying. And speaking of getting down to the nitty-gritty, as Houdini takes us through Sector 2, there is definitely some implications in the championship here, as we are in round 10 out of 12, so down to the nitty-gritty for sure for that as well. Now taking a if I take a quick peek here, Houdini going purple in the second sector as I take a look at that, so it's looking to be a monster lap from Houdini thus far. Definitely appears to be going faster, a little bit of a tank slapper there, fighting the car as hard as he can to get this lap time set towards the final corner. What's it going to be? It's going to be second fast. This is a 1:14.794. So not quick enough by Houdini to beat the time set by young DJ CJ. And it appears as though the Red Bull driver, he's ready to race here around the Hungaroring. He's feeling right at home. Houdini coming close, but possibly setup differences here between the Red Bull and the Ferrari are showing its pace here, as right now the Red Bull is about half a second faster than the Ferrari around the Hungaroring, which is very crucial here, as when you're looking at the Drivers' Championship, it is the two drivers we see at the top. It is young DJ CJ and Houdini, but the order is a little bit flipped right now. It's Houdini who is leading the Drivers' Championship with 188 points. Young DJ CJ right behind with 178 points, so only a 10-point gap separating the top two drivers, with Subtle But Whole rounding out the top three, 144, but he's not comfortable by a long shot, as he's got the likes of VTech with 121 points as his biggest competitor, his biggest rival here in the top four. Then, of course, for fifth and down, Unholy Red Eye, K-Dog, Racing Ginger, Knuckles, Pork Chops, they are essentially even on points. Anywhere between 97 and 94 points between those drivers, so it's still anybody's game to play for here today in the Drivers' Championship. As like I said, we're heading down to the nitty-gritty. Qualifying approaching its end here with 40 seconds to go. Still young DJ leading the charge here. Knuckles had that invalidation, as we saw. His highway's on a lap. It does not appear as if that is the case. So it looks like qualifying might just dwindle down here, other than the final few drivers who are just starting their flying laps. The likes of Crustier T, Kaz, J-Stee. Now Kaz, he's sitting in 11th right now. He's on the mediums, looking to possibly find his place here in a top 10 position to possibly get those medium tires in the top 10. We'll see if he's got the pace to do it. We'll stick with him here as we're down to the final second of qualifying. There you have it. It is the end of qualifying. So the top five will remain unchanged here unless anybody underneath has anything to say about it. Knuckles might be able to get one more lap in. Rise, I'm really not too sure. I think that might be him coming around the final corner now. There he goes, and he does not improve. He will stay in P8 for the moment. Valentine appears to be next across the line. Now let's see what Valentine is going to do from 9th up to 8th. So goes a little bit faster than Rise on that lap time. So very good lap here. Who is next? That's Flavius diving into the pits. Next is going to be a Haas. Crustier T right ahead. He's on the soft tires, so he's going to try to make it through into a top 10 position here on those softs. Where is he going to end up here? Across the line, up into P10. Kaz right behind. He crosses the line. Does not improve, so Kaz will stay in 12th. The gamble does not work out, but he still does get free choice of tires. For Crustier T, though, he was able to get that lap time that he needed, puts himself up into a top 10, and now all eyes are essentially on Knuckles if he's going to be setting one final lap, going very wide there, and I don't think this is going to be a lap to remember. And just like that, we have hit the end of our qualifying session here. It's the Red Bull of young DJ CJ who will be starting from pole position here at the Hungaroring, the Hungarian Grand Prix. And it will be on your screens in just a few moments. Young DJ CJ starting on pole, Houdini in second, and Highways rounding out the top three. Highways and Maida are going to be sharing the second row of the grid right behind Young DJ and Houdini, who are occupying row 1. Subtle and Knuckles getting row 3 and 5th and 6th. VTech Valentine 7th and 8th on the 4th row. Rise and Crustier T rounding out the top 10 here, all on the soft tires. Those latter two drivers will be starting on the 5th row. There you have it here, and a bit of a gap here between 1st and 10th. 1.6 seconds, but closer to 1.1 if you take away the time set by young DJ CJ. Best of the rest, poor man's pole position here will be Flavius. We'll see what he's going to opt to do with those free choice of tires. Kaz down in 12th as his soft tire time was quicker. JST in 13th. Pork Chops down in 14th for the Mercedes. K-Dog only 15th after getting that nice jump. Shows the power of the track evolution. Chunky Corgi down in a surprising 16th position there as the second McLaren. On the mediums, though, then Unholy Red Eye, Feman Racing, Ginger, and Clogmonger, the drivers rounding out the order here today. Now, that is going to do it here for qualifying. That is the end of qualifying. So, I will be back in just a few moments, taking a quick sip of water, and then I will take us through the formation lap and, of course, the start of the race. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. Hello and welcome to Hungary for the 10th round here for the Division 3 Championship at the Midwest Formula 1 Esports Series here. We are in Hungary at the Hungaroring. We just completed our short qualifying session. It is the Red Bull of young DJ CJ who will be starting on pole position with the Ferrari of Houdini, 1 and 2 on the in the Drivers' Championship, and 1 and 2 on the starting grid. This is what you love to see here going into the race this late into the season. But it is Houdini in the Ferrari leading the way in the championship. Young DJ CJ 10 points behind, but a solid performance here around this track can change up the championship. Very much so here heading into the final few races. We've got our cue to kick things off very quickly, though. In the constructors, the Red Bull Racing team leading the constructors, that is young DJ CJ and VTech in that team. McLaren of Subtle and Chunky Corgi in second. And it is the Williams rounding out the top three. Ferrari only in P4 in the constructors. So for Houdini's sake, I believe his strategy might just be try to snag some hardware, snag the drivers, maybe not worry too much about the constructors here. But like I said, for Houdini, he's got his work cut out for him here, as a young DJ CJ is a very strong driver, very strong with his overtaking, very difficult to be overtaken. And once he gets a run, once he runs away with it, he is very difficult to catch. But we'll see how this all plays out between now and the end of the race, 35 laps from now. Of course, around the formation lap, the top 10 all starting on the soft tires, as we would expect here. Flavius is also on the softs as best of the rest P11, looking for that jump. Now Kaz in 12th, he's on the hard tires there, so interesting call from him. With JST on the mediums, Pork Chops on the medium tires. K-Dog putting on the softs, and so did Chunky Corgi. So those two drivers are going to be looking for a bit of a jump as well off the start. Try to gain some positions early on. Got to keep it clean though, with Unholy Red Eye, Feman 6th, and Racing Ginger 17th, 18th, and 19th. They are on the medium tires. Clogmonger rounding out the back of the grid. He is on the hard tires in 20th. Now looking at the formation lap here, you've got a big gap. You've got the likes of Young DJ CJ and Houdini coming around just now the final corner. Meanwhile, the likes of Clogmonger, they're not even through sector 2, so they're gonna the front runners are going to be sitting on the grid for a long time, waiting for everybody else to take their position, so which might mean colder tires for the front runners. So a little bit of a bit of an interesting strategy from the likes of Crestier T, holding up the back half there to possibly give himself a bit of an advantage now that we are lining up on the grid. But those top 10 have been sitting on the grid for quite some time before. But formation lap is all but done. We are just about set for 35 laps here around the Hungaroring. It is the Hungarian Grand Prix. It is the Midwest Formula 1 Division 3 Championship, and it is coming at you right now. Up to 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights, and the lights are off quickly, and we are racing here in Hungary as the drivers are battling for positions heading down towards turn 1. That was a Mercedes Unholy Red Eye really going off track there early on, coming through turn 1 relatively clean. Lots of side-by-side action here in the midfield, as who was that possibly? Just my order getting mixed up. Houdini, though, he is battling it out with Highways, and Highways getting a nice jump. Houdini now right behind Valentine, as a Young DJ CJ is really running away with this very early on. He's got a really nice jump, and we'll see if he can keep it up here. Meanwhile, Valentine, he's having a nice battle here with the likes of Maida, who is trying to battle outside of this P5 to get up into P4, but through into Sector 2, we might get a little bit of a break, but we might see our first incident. It's VTech going very slowly, and he is struggling as those tire temperatures are absolutely through the roof here. Oh no, and right as I say that, that was the likes of Freeman, who was out, who took a spin. He's going to have to watch out, as there goes the Red Bull of VTech now. So here on lap 1, 2 incidents really affecting the drivers here. But on track, Crestier T and Flavius having a little bit of a battle to soft tire runners. Flavius getting ahead. He's got that jump here on Crestier T in the first lap, and Young DJ CJ, he is leading the charge. He goes fastest here around the first lap as expected. Now, Subtle But Whole and a Wild Maida are exchanging positions here. They're having a nice little side-by-side battle as they head through into turn 1, down towards turn 2. It is Maida who is leading the charge on the inside line. There's a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there between the two, but it is Maida who gets ahead, and he is going to remain ahead, at least for the time being, possibly for another lap here, as around Hungary, you really need to chuck the car in to make a move. Hope for a mistake, or just be patient and make your overtake heading into turn 1 or turn 2, like we saw the drivers do just one lap ago. Now, you do want to stay close, but not too close to get too affected by the dirty air. But we'll see how this all plays out. Maida in 5th, Subtle But Whole in 6th, and Chunky Corgi, props to him, from 16th on the grid, or just about all the way up into P8. He made some great progress here in the first 2 laps to jump up the grid, and he is reaping it with a top 10 here thus far, very early in the race. Now, Young DJ still leading the charge, and he is starting to build a gap. The top 3 are starting to have a little bit of a gap here between them and everybody else, but this midfield battle, secondary midfield battle, is really one to keep an eye out here. Rise, Pork Chops, Clogmonger. Here goes Pork Chops down the inside of turn 1. He does get the move there done on Clogmonger. Meanwhile, JST getting ahead of Kaz as they're still battling it out, and that looked to be possibly K-Dog wanting to get involved, but they're all being led by Porkchops, Clog, JST there as, it's Porkchops, Rise, and Clogs, the two AlphaTauris that are one behind another. That's what's throwing me off. Apologies for that. So K-Dog is a little bit further behind, looking to get involved. But with Kaz going a little bit deep there, that might have been an opportunity if K-Dog could just get on the traction. But that's a lot easier said than done. Meanwhile, though, here comes Subtle back on a Wild Maida, nearly losing the car there as we've got a yellow flag, as that is a Renault of possibly Feman 06. Who was having another moment back on track now, though, as that is not going to bring out any safety cars. We are just going to continue racing here, as this is what you love to see. The continued racing, the close battles from everybody. The battles are very hard, but they're fair. They're respectful. And you love it when drivers show the respect to one another on track. Heading into turn one, though, close but not close enough was Subtle on Maida, but Maida getting a little bit of help from Valentine in the process as they essentially slipstream off one another there. Meanwhile, Knuckles, he's getting a little bit involved, but Chunky Corgi nearly chucking a move down the inside there in the process, right behind our very eyes. Knuckles, though, just able to hang on, going very, very deep there, and as expected, that gave him a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Meanwhile, K-Dog and Racing Ginger had a little bit of a battle off of screen, and it looks like K-Dog got the better of Racing Ginger, and with the tank slapper that we saw Racing Ginger have there right at the end, I think possibly heading off track could have been a cause for that, nearly losing that car and opting for safety rather than the overtake. But now he's going to have to push a little bit to try to catch back up to this this group of cars that, to be fair, are still battling very hard with one another. That is Feman once again having a moment, getting back on the circuit, getting passed by Crester T and Unholy Red Eye, having their own little on-circuit battle here. But all eyes for the moment are on these 3-4 drivers. You can throw a blanket on them here today. It's Clogmonger, JST, Kaz, and K-Dog, who's right behind. Even the likes of Racing Ginger is start to catch right back up. Now we're seeing Rise take a pit stop very early on. Here comes Kaz on JST. Kaz does make the move work down the inside. Heading around turn one, he's going to get the better line. And he does get the overtake done as the cars finally peer out. But not without a fight, though, is JST nearly going 3 wide. And there goes K-Dog, seeing an opportunity, and she makes no mistake getting ahead of JST. So K-Dog now up into 13th, JST down in 14th. Meanwhile, Knuckles and Subtle But Whole exchange positions, and it looks like Knuckles having a nice drive here. He's feeling very comfortable in this stage of the Grand Prix, keeping both McLarens behind him now, and is chasing up the field. Meanwhile, JST and Racing Ginger having a little bit of a battle, but it appears as though that was Racing Ginger having a little bit of a moment off track during that battle. He does get right back on his horse to keep charging, but that's a lot of time lost for the Haas driver on this group of cars here in the lower midfield of the race here. The likes of K-Dog, Kaz, JST. Now Kaz and K-Dog having a little bit of a battle. They're going side by side, trying to get the likes of Clogmonger involved in this battle too. Porkchops, though, he was here a couple laps ago, but he absolutely ran away after overtaking the likes of Clog, and he is continuing his charge. He's going to try to catch up the likes of Flavius and Chunky Corgi in that next train up ahead, so that's something to keep an eye out here. K-Dog, she gets ahead of Clogmonger as she is starting her charge. A yellow flag, though, has been brought out as Subtle But Whole having a moment. There goes the likes of Porkchops past him as Subtle does get back on track, but is creeping closer and closer to him. Is this battle between K-Dog, Clogmonger, Kaz, this train that very well could engulf Subtle if he's not careful and can't find that pace back. But you've got Kaz really putting the pressure now on Clog to get this overtake done. on lap 6 out of 35. All the while, though, you've got the likes of Wildmaida, who is now going to get ahead of Valentine, as Valentine taking a pit stop. These soft tires, very much so a qualifying tire here, it looks like, as a lot of soft tire runners are getting off of those softs very, very quickly here, only 6 laps through. Meanwhile, Kaz, he gets ahead down the inside of Clogmonger. Clogmonger, though, not going out without a fight. They're still side by side through the final corner, but it looks like Kaz just gets the better traction on the exit, and he does get the overtake done. That is Kaz up into 11th position here so far in this Grand Prix. Only lap 7 out of 35, though, so loads of time to go between now and the end of the race. Still expect to see a lot of pit stops, a lot of overtaking, and very well so possibly a lot more drama here in this race. But it is Houdini now who is leading the charge as young DJ CJ pit for a fresh set of medium tires. He is down in 7th right now, right behind Pork Chops, who is chasing down the likes of Chunky Corgi, but being chased down by young DJ CJ. Clogmonger, Racing Ginger, JC is losing 2 positions to the former 2 named drivers. JC not having the race he was hoping for up until this point, hoping to maybe snag a few more positions, but he has been heading the wrong way across the order in these last few laps. So hopefully he can recover. We'll keep an eye out on that between now and the end of the race. But the likes of Racing Ginger still chasing down Clogmonger, and JC right behind is still, to be fair, very much so involved in this 3-car battle in the lower midfield. And we'll see if anybody can get the Jets on to try to close that gap down to the likes of Kaz, Maida, and the rest of the grid. Now, you've got some yellow flags here coming around the final corner. Nothing to be worried about too much there. Houdini took his pit stop, and Houdini pit for the hard tires. So an interesting strategy call here. The Red Bull going for the mediums, and the Ferrari driver going for the hard tires. So the question is going to be, who is on the better tire strategy here today? Will it be Houdini in the Red Bull, or Houdini in the Ferrari, or will it be young DJ CJ in that Red Bull seat? So far, the advantage looks to be to young DJ, as he highways Valentine. That's a very tough crew to have ahead of Houdini. Now, K-Dog is on more worn tires, and I'm sure Valentine won't put up much of a fight being teammates, but that is still going to be difficult to get past the likes of Highways. We know the type of pace he has. We've seen it before, and he is looking to be on fantastic pace here so far around the Hungaroring. But we'll see. It's still all to play for. Let's head back to this lower midfield battle, as it is just picking up here. You've got nearly 2x2 here. The likes of Rise and JC going side by side, and also the likes of Clog and Racing Ginger having a little bit of a battle. Let's take a quick peek. The 2 AlphaTauris making contact. They're battling it out. They've got their elbows out. Racing Ginger is leading all 4 of them, but it's still a fantastic battle here between the AlphaTauris. Rise looking to get ahead for the moment, as those fresher tires seem to have found him the traction he needs. But his teammate Clogmonger, he is not giving up. He wants to get around. He wants to be that #1 driver. He wants to get that pace here. And who was that? That was Racing Ginger going very wide and very deep, bringing out a really big yellow flag there on the circuit, splitting the two sectors. But that is nothing to worry about, as he does get back on track, but losing out on a decent amount of positions there is Racing Ginger, as he's all the way down in P15 now, as he was running much higher previously in this race. Knuckles, though, he's not giving up. He is right behind Clogmonger, who Rise, to be fair, has got some distance, but Knuckles, though, he makes some contact, goes for a half spin, trying to go for a move in the penultimate corner, and that unfortunately did not work out for Knuckles. He is way down the order now, down in 18th. And now we're seeing the likes of K-Dog pit. We saw some side-by-side battle. The likes of Subtle getting involved. He's going to try to get ahead of Racing Ginger. And Unholy Red Eye a little bit further ahead as well. He's got to do one before he can get the other, though. But he does get ahead of Racing Ginger to go up into P14. And he's right in the midst of this battle in the lower midfield that we've been keeping our eyes out on here, I should say. Now here he goes around the outside, getting squeezed out a tiny little bit by JST. JST. Nothing too wrong with that as they are continuing to battle and not much of an overtake spot. Ooh, nearly a tank slapper there, and that allowed Unholy Red Eye to go for an opportunity from bad to worse for Subtle as he gets another tank slapper and found himself alongside of Racing Ginger, but is able to fend the Haas driver off, so will remain in 14th, but lost out on a little bit of work that he had made working his way up the field. But this battle has been absolutely fantastic here for these first 11 laps and counting, and it doesn't look to be showing any signs of slowing down here, as so many drivers are very evenly paced in this group, and they're all having a bit of a showdown to see who is the better driver out of all of them. Here comes JST now, getting for an overtake on Clogmonger. He's gonna have to go the long way around, which doesn't work too well here in turn 1, and might risk losing out on a position as Unholy Red Eye is now heading around the outside. He's gonna try to take the long way around. Is it gonna work? Yes, it does. And now he's gonna try to go side by side with Clog, but that did not work out one bit as he makes a lot of contact, goes for a spin, back on track now, but down in 18th position, and definitely a pit stop in the future of Unholy Red Eye. So a little bit of an overzealous move there, trying to get ahead of Clog, but did not work out as both drivers were battling hard, and you couldn't help but feel that an incident was just bound to happen, given the hard-fought battles we were seeing up until this point. And there you have it. We have seen it, but crucially, no safety car coming out for that. We continue our green flag racing as things got sorted out very quickly. Now here we've got the likes of Highways and Pork Chops having a little bit of a battle here. For P2 on track. Pork Chops, he's made a lot of progress here on those 11-lap-old mediums. He is definitely leading the charge, but he has yet to take his pit stop, but is trying to build a gap, I believe, to the likes of, we'll say, Kaz, JST, that whole gap of midfield. He's done a good job of it, and Pork Chop's really going to be trying to cement himself into this possibly top 5 running here between now and the end of the race. We've got another yellow flag here, as that looked to be for JST, as JST having a moment. He is facing the wrong way on the track, getting back on track now, but another victim here, as these tires might be starting to feel the wear, especially with the battles brewing the way they have been here. JST down in 18th place, and we've got a little bit further ahead, that was VTech having a moment. He's getting back on track now, but he's got some wing damage, and that is going to be a pit stop for the Red Bull driver. So crucially, still no safety car coming out, as the drivers are just being told to deal with it. Not happening in anybody's way, but very interesting to see. But meanwhile, Highways and Pork Chops having a bit of a battle here on circuit. It looks as though Pork Chops still in second as of now, but Highways is really putting on the pressure. He is pushing side by side now, similar to where we saw, I believe it was Unholy Red Eye try for his move. They get through much better, are the likes of Highways and Pork Chops, but through all of that, still Pork Chops in second, Highways in third. Now Clogmonger and Racing Ginger had a little bit of an exchange. Subtle But Whole gaining a position off of that as well, and so does Knuckles. Here comes Racing Ginger right back, but the question is, can he hold it? No, he can't, as he loses 3 positions, I should say, in a span of a couple corners. Subtle, though, he is really gaining a few as he goes a little bit wide, giving that position right back to Clog, as you would expect. Now heading through Sector 2, Clog in 11th, Subtle in 12th, Knuckles in 13th. So close together are these drivers. Even the likes of Racing Ginger down in 14th, right behind there as well. So loads of battles happening here on track as we are just starting lap 14 out of 35. So still tons of racing here to go today. Not even at the midway point and already has been this good. Highways now trying to get ahead of Pork Chops. Valentine now getting ahead too as we're nearly 3 wide. Pork Chop's getting a little bit bullied there, it seemed, but he is on the more worn tires, so that could have an effect on that as well. Highways now in second. Valentine gets released up into third. Pork Chops, he's down in fourth and has a little bit of a gap to the likes of Houdini. And to be fair for Houdini, Wild Maida is keeping right up with them. As now we've got Feeman, who is out of this race, and that is going to bring out a full safety car. As if we ride on board, there is that Renault. It looks like through Sector 2, it showed its teeth there here on lap 14, and that is going to bring out a safety car. So for Pork Chops, this is going to work out an absolute treat as he's going to be able to pit under safety car. The question, too, though, is will anybody else choose to pit under safety car? Possibly the likes of Kaz, Clogmonger, Racing Ginger, I would think, who have yet to take pit stops. But I don't know if anybody on the hards or the softs, as they still had taken their pit stops recently enough, about 6 to 7 laps ago. Now, it looks like a young DJ CJ, he's going to stay out. Valentine is going to stay out, but the likes of Highways, Pork Chops, Houdini, Maida, they're all going to pit off of their tires and put on something different. I'm seeing some hard tires go on for the likes of Highways and Pork Chops, maybe some medium tires for the likes of Maida and Houdini, as they have already used a set of hard tires, and it is going to be medium tires for Houdini at the very least. Maida putting on a medium tire set as well. But there we have it. Once the pit stops have been over and done with, I will take us through the updated order and a little bit of talking points. But until then, I will be back in just a few moments. Just going to take a quick sip of water and whatnot, and then I'll be back to take us through the safety car and the safety car restart, of course. Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. As we just saw on the screen, the race leader, young DJ CJ, he opted to pit to put on a set of hard tires, possibly to go to the end of this Grand Prix, as lap 16 out of 35 sees us here under safety car, with the likes of Valentine leading the way. But things ain't easy if you're Valentine, as I just saw him disconnect not too long ago, right before I came back here. Now, that is, it looks like he needs an invite, so let's try to get this sent off to him. I'll be right back. Apologies for the screen delay like that. Just trying to get Valentine an invite back into the lobby. So bear with me there. Alright, there we go. I got the invite sent off. Thankfully, we are spending at least one more lap here under safety car to allow the likes of VTech to get back on the or to get back to the to get back and catch up to the safety car queue, I should say. Apologies for that. Lap 17 out of 35. Valentine just got back into the lobby. We got the invite sent off to him. He is leading the way once we do go back to green flag racing. Chunky Corgi finds himself up in second in the McLaren. So a great position there for the McLaren driver. Highway is rounding out the top three. He's been a driver we've been talking about here through the entirety of the stream so far in Hungaroring. He has come to race. He has shown he's got the pace here around Hungary, and right there is showing exactly that. Flavius, he on his debut here covering for GDB. He is doing absolutely fantastic up into P4. Not necessarily a full-time driver here, but definitely making a case for himself, I should say. It looks like Valentine unfortunately can't take control of the car, and I figure even when you open up the menu, select drivers, and hit the X on your car, that doesn't work. Because that is normally the way you've got this take control that of course I can't do because I'm not racing, but it should be there for you. But I do know this game loves to do the thing sometimes, or things where it just does not work the way it should, and hopefully I do hope that is not the case, especially now that we are going back to green flag racing. The safety car is coming in this lap, so we will be back to normal racing for lap 19. Will we continue where we left off here with most of the drivers on a fresh set of tires? We will find out. Here we go. Around the final corner goes Valentine. Is he sticking right with the safety car, working with his advantage there? Is that AI in a distant behind? Chunky Corgi now is in second. Highways is in third, but this is where the battle is really starting. Pork Chops now on that fresh set of tires. He is trying to make a charge at Flavius as Valentine is now out. He's going to try to get everything sorted out. He needs another invite, but we're back into green flag racing. So it's going to be a little bit tough. We've got JC though, who had a little bit of a moment there. He is down near the back of the track. Subtle is now chasing down Houdini, and he is trying to head towards P6, even a little bit further behind. We've got the likes of Rise chasing down his teammate Clogmonger. They've picked it up right where they left off. These AlphaTauri drivers, they've been battling through the entirety of the race here thus far. Had a little bit of a break under safety car, but they've gotten right back at it. And of course, they've got a nice little grouping of cars. And I don't think young DJ CJ expected this battle when he planned for his pit stop. I think he might have thought it was going to be a little bit more smoother sailing than what it is. Having to watch the two sister team drivers battle when he's got to get a move on to try to close up to Houdini, who's on the faster medium tires. But here we go. Rise now going down the inside of Clogmonger. Oh, and they both hit the wall. That is Clog out of this race. Now Rise is going very slowly, and you begged the feeling that was just bound to happen there with how close they were battling the two AlphaTauris. Hard to say if anybody's to blame or if that is a racing incident, but of course the AlphaTauri drivers are not going to be happy about that one bit, and I would not be surprised to see that in the stewards report, and that is going to bring out another safety car. So first things first, let's try to get Valentine back into this race. So that we can hopefully have him take over his vehicle. Alrighty, I've got that invite sent off back to Valentine as his car is taking a pit stop here trying to get off of those 11-lap old medium tires. Highways, that means he is now going to be the race leader, and he is going to lead the charge under the safety car restart once we do get to it. A decent amount of cars are taking their pit stops though, so drivers who were maybe thinking about it a little bit too much over that first safety car can now take that pit stop under the second safety car. But lap 20 out of 35, down to 15 laps to go here in this Grand Prix. We are under our second safety car. We had such clean racing here for the first just about the first half. Then we had the likes of Furman bringing out the safety car for his incident in sector 2, and then just a few laps after going green after that, it was the two AlphaTauris of Ryzen Clogmonger who got involved with one another. That created a big accident heading around the final corner into the start-finish straight, and that is where we are right now, sitting under safety car here, just awaiting the cue for that safety car restart so that we can head back to racing and get this see the finale of this race. You've got the likes of Highways leading, Pork Chops having a great race up in second, but Houdini is the driver to keep an eye out. He is leading the championship, and he's having a great race up in third. Young DJ CJ has crept himself all the way back up to fifth, so this battle between the two of them is definitely not close to being done at all. So that is still going to continue for however many laps we are going to have here between now and the end of the race. Under green flag, around the safety car goes one more time at the very least to start lap 21, and it will be a lap under the safety car, but we should be heading back to green flag racing next lap, as we are just waiting for the likes of Rise and JC to catch up to the back of the grid and allow us to take this restart. But it is going to be a good one, a little bit of a sprint here to the finish. I do believe those who are on the medium tires might be at a bit of an advantage, as long as they can manage that wear enough to make it to the end, because of course the hard tires will go, but they're going to be colder off the restart here into the safety car, given the cars are going much slower, as well as it's going to take a little bit more time for them to get into that optimal temperature, given that they do take longer to heat up compared to the medium tires. VTech on the softs, he might be hoping for one more possible safety car between now and the end of the race, which very much so could be a possibility. We went a good portion without any, and now just like that we've had two in a span of 5-6 laps or so. So we could very well see another safety car before the race is over, depending on how hard the drivers race here under the restart. And now, of course, we are hitting clutch time here. It's lap 21, 15 laps to go. We've very quickly gone from lots of time left in this race to maybe not as much time left in the race as there once was. Time to get some moves done, and it all starts here as we are going to head back to green flag racing to start lap 22 out of 35 here around the Hungaroring here in Hungary. It is the Hungarian Grand Prix, lap 22 coming at you right now, with Highways leading the way heading around the final corner. And here we go, looking to be a good restart from everybody. Highways getting a fantastic jump. Pork Chops falling behind a little bit, and Houdini chasing down. Unholy Red Eye very quickly making moves on Crustier T, so he got that restart time perfectly. Chunky Corgi now heading down the inside. A little bit of contact between the two drivers. Is Chunky going to try somebody else there? No, he's only going to get Knuckles, as he's got very close to Crustier T, though maybe in the next few corners you might see Chunky Corgi try to get a move done, but he's gonna have to stay clean here, or else he might risk affecting his race more than anybody else's. But a little bit further up the field, we've got the likes of Young DJ CJ, a Wild Maida, Houdini. They're all stuck in this three-way scrap. Pork Chops is now involved in this too. All the while, Highways, he got the restart he wanted. He got well ahead of everybody, and he's actually out of DRS range now, 2 seconds ahead. Subtle and Flavius having a little bit of a moment here as now Racing Ginger gets ahead, and Flavius now back ahead, but they're side by side here through second corner. Racing Ginger and Rise now we're going side by side a little bit after that as the domino effect started to kick in. But fantastic racing, everybody keeping it clean, everybody keeping it safe here at this point here under this restart. You love to see that. Nothing too aggressive, like no knocking drivers off track, anything like that. It's just some fantastic hard racing for position, and this is what you love to see. Very quickly moving on to lap 23, young DJ CJ getting ahead of a Wild Maida. So next up, he will be seeing the likes of Houdini. Meanwhile, though, Kaz and K-Dog having a little bit of a battle side by side. Yellow flags happening further down the track, nothing to worry about. But these two drivers are still having their battle, and Unholy Red Eye is going to get involved in this as well. What a sight to see here is now right behind Unholy Red Eye. Crustier T wants to get involved. Who was that? That was Valentine having a moment. He's getting back on track now, as it looks like the exit of turn 4, turn 5 has really been proving difficult for a lot of drivers. Now, here comes Houdini on Pork Chops, lap 23. The Ferrari chasing down the Mercedes, maybe down the inside he goes. Maida thought about making a move on young DJ CJ, but thought better of it, and that actually allowed young DJ to catch right back up to Houdini. But it's not over between these four cars. Maida showing a lot of teeth, showing a lot of fight here around Hungary, trying to snag these positions for himself, and play a little bit of spoiler to the likes of Houdini and young DJ. And now here comes Houdini down the inside of Pork Chops. They're going side by side now. Who is going to get the position? It's still Pork Chops holding on to it for the moment, and it looks like it's still going to be Pork Chops for at least one more lap here, as it's still Pork in second, Houdini in third. Highways, though, he's got a 4-second gap to Pork Chops, and he's leading the charge here, and he is hoping things stay just the way they do now, as he is absolutely running away with this in this stage of the race with 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix. So for Highways, all he's got to do is he's just got to keep at his own race, keep doing what he's doing, and nail the exits, nail those corners, and let them come to you rather than make you go to them. Right? They can catch up if they want, or if not, then you just ride off into the sunset. And I think that's what Highways is doing, and what the likes of Houdini and young DJ are trying to stop, but they're too busy fighting it out amongst themselves. Maida still getting involved here with this battle as we're starting now lap 25, 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix here in Hungary, and this race has only just begun for these front runners, the likes of young DJ CJ, Houdini, Pork Chops. Oh no, and right as I say that, there's a bit of a spin. Pork Chops is going around. He is now back on track, and that was, who was that? Unholy Red Eye, his teammate, and that breaks a domino effect, a big crash there, as Ken Knuckles is now out of this race. I think things have calmed down just a little bit, but Knuckles, Crustier T, Unholy Red Eyes, they were all involved in that collision, which essentially was a domino effect. All started from the likes of Pork Chops going for a half spin, going through turn 1 with the likes of Houdini and young DJ CJ getting involved, and that is only going to bring out a virtual safety car, so we're not going to be in brakes for too long. We're going to head back to Green Flag Racing soon enough, but crucially, that allowed Highways to get up to a 9-second gap and counting, down to 8 now, but the gap has grown, and crucially as well, young DJ CJ getting involved in that. He had to slow right back down. He was up in third, now down in 6th, as we're showing yellow flags through all the sectors. That I don't really get. As oh no, and that was a Valentine going for another spin there. We did see that very quickly on the screen. Visible frustration, clear frustration from the driver after that spin, not having the race to remember here around Hungary. The yellow flags, though, they're finally gone, and we are officially back to Green Flag Racing here for lap 26. Pork Chops now chasing down Taz. Houdini, though, he is able to slightly run off in the sunset a little bit more. He can coast and try to allow Maida to catch up to him. If he wants to try to make a push for highways, he can, but he's going to have to watch out for that tire wear if he wants to make those tires last 9 more laps to the end of the Grand Prix. So something to keep an eye out here. Young DJ CJ, meanwhile, from hero to zero, as he has fallen way down the order, having to take a pit stop, putting on a fresh set of boots here. He's on the softs, and he's going to be pushing to the end of the race on those soft tires. So that is the sit rep for the leaders. But barring any unfortunate incident, it looks like this could be Houdini's to lose here as far as the championship is concerned, heading into round 11 next week. But of course, there's still some racing to go. It's lap 27 out of 35, not lap 35 out of 35. So anything can happen between now and the end of the race. It is motor racing after all. You never really know. Racing Ginger is on your screen at this current moment, chasing down Valentine on your screen. So we'll see how the overtake is going to look. Valentine leaving the session. That is not ideal. But Chunky Corgi is now out of this race, as Chunky Corgi has crashed out. And it appears as though that was with the VTEC that might have happened. There is Chunky Corgi. There is VTEC. They got involved, and that brought out a virtual safety car now here on lap 27. So it's all gone off here. We've had 2 safety cars and now 2 virtual safety cars. And here with 7 laps to go, we are very quickly back to green flag racing, other than turn 1 in sector 1, which has been very quickly taken care of. But it looks like here in these later stages of the Grand Prix, the virtual safety cars are what the stewards are opting to go for, rather than the full caution safety cars that we had seen previously before the over the course of the first 2 safety cars. Rise now getting ahead of Valentine, as we saw the onboard for that on your screen. Valentine has been disconnected though, so it does come with a little bit of a grain of salt. Ooh, but Rise going very deep there, and that opens Valentine's AI to come right back at him. But Rise just enough to hang on to that position. He will remain in P8. He will hold on to that for the time being. Pork Chops now being found to be under pressure by the likes of Flavius here for that P5, for that top 5 showing. But here, as the laps are counting down, coming to a close, the time is running out to get some overtakes done. I've lost out on my gaps as well, which is even more fantastic. I have no idea what's going on here, other than the likes of Valentine, who's chasing down Rise. The question, though, is Valentine, he is back in that car, thankfully. So he did lose out in a position, but he can try to work to take it right back. But hopefully that is the end of his connection issues between now and the end of the race, because it's always heartbreaking to lose out on some positions just because of connection issues and that AI going much slower. But we'll see how it all plays out. Highway starting lap 29. He's got 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and he is essentially running away with it. We haven't given Highways much love, but like I said, he's a driver to watch out for every week, because when Highways is on, he is absolutely on, and that is exactly what we're seeing here. Textbook drive from Highways here so far. Pitting when he had to. He's on the hard tires, which is the optimal tire to get to the end of the Grand Prix. To be fair though, Houdini is catching up, but it seems like Highways did such a good job building such a gap that Houdini's gonna have to close up essentially a second a lap here, maybe a little bit more, just to earn the opportunity to overtake Highways. And of course, overtaking is a completely different challenge. But for a driver who only has 25 points in the drivers' championship, he is putting on an absolute clinic here, and showing that points don't necessarily correlate to skill here on the grid. As Highways coming around the final corner now, 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. We'll keep an eye out on some battles here on the track. That gap between Highways and Houdini sticking to about 7 seconds now. So it did not go up, it did not go down. It stayed just about the same for those drivers. But crucially though, young DJ CJ, he's trying to work his way. He's trying to maximize his points that he can get between now and the end of the race. Chasing down K-Dog. They're both on these soft tires, running a similar strategy. Young DJ CJ going a little bit deep there through that corner, so that's going to be a little bit of a time loss, as you can see, to K-Dog. But leave it to young DJ CJ. He can catch that right back up with the toe, with the slipstream. A yellow flag though for looks to be Settlebud Hole not having the race he was hoping for down in P15. He was running so well, but getting caught up in a couple incidents here and there, unfortunately stalled his progress, and he found himself moving down the order rather than moving up the order like he would ideally like to do. But on lap 30 here, we've got young DJ and K-Dog chasing it down. Looks like we've got more yellow flags here as things are going from bad to worse. But we're still seeing young DJ chasing down K-Dog. The question is, will the overtake get done? When will it get done? How will it get done? Houdini now getting ahead of Highways, as Highways is taking a pit stop. So he's actually going to get off of those hard tires and put on a set of softs. So very, very interesting. Settlebud Hole, he's had enough. He's retired out of this race, but that's bringing Highways down to P6. So right as I was praising him for his strategy, I guess he felt as if those hard tires were not going to make it to the end, like I was thinking. Young DJ, though, he is now going to try to make a move down the inside of K-Dog, and it looks like he does get the overtake done pretty cleanly this time around, and well past the exit now is young DJ CJ up in 10th, and he is now going to try to chase down to the aforementioned Highways, who is now all the way down in P9 and finds himself right behind Rise with 4 laps to go, and that promotes Houdini up to the lead of this race. And I'm a little surprised here. I honestly did think that Highways was going to stay out to the end, but I guess he had a different strategy. Houdini, he's not going to complain. I'm sure Maida's not going to complain. And Kaz, finding himself in 3rd, he's probably not going to complain either here, as these medium tire runners now are showing that their strategy was the way to go about it, and they are reaping in the benefits here. Porkchop's also having a fantastic race up in P4, just outside of the podium as of now, but chasing down that final podium position is Porkchops. He wants it here around Hungary to snag those points, avoiding action taken from the likes of Rise, as I think that was Highways going into the gravel in the exit of the final corner, losing a lot of speed. So great awareness from the AlphaTauri driver there to get out of the way. But we've got some yellow flags here, as that was somebody going very slowly. I'm not really sure who that was. And I guess I'll never know who that was, but it's not the end of the world here. Let's move over to this battle for the podium. Now we are near the end, so forget the tire choices. Maida has 6 seconds of penalties, so that makes things very, very interesting to see where he's gonna fall. Kaz just picked up a 3-second time penalty, so that is going to be added to his time. And Porkchop, his eyes must have absolutely lit up once he did see that 3-second time penalty, if he has, knowing that he might have an opportunity for a podium here if all goes well with him and the end of his race. But still looking to keep the pressure on the likes of Kaz. Lap 33 out of 35. Houdini is leading. Maida in 2nd. Kaz in 3rd. Porkchops in 4th, and Flavius, the new guy here in Division 3, he is rounding out a top 5, having a fantastic race. Highways, he was from hero, now he's gone from hero to 0 as he retires out of this Grand Prix. Everything was going so well for him, and now so close to the end, taking a pit stop, not working out for him, and retiring out of this race and forfeiting any possibility of points that he might have had here. So not the Not an ideal finish of the race for highways, but it was still great to see him up near the top, and hopefully we can see him there more often here between now and the end of the season, leading into the next season. But on your screen right now, you've got young DJ CJ chasing down Rise. They're having a little bit of a battle. Young DJ should have this position as well as the one ahead on penalties alone. But you want to get this done on track. It always feels better to get it done on track, if I'm being honest, or at least as far as my thoughts are concerned. So we're starting the penultimate lap here of the Grand Prix, lap 34 out of 35 of what has been a very exciting Hungarian Grand Prix here at the Hungaroring. But we still have 2 more laps to go here. If we include the one the drivers are just on. Here comes young DJ. He's going to go down the inside of Rise. We've seen this move before. Is he going to be able to pull it off this time around? Yes, he does, as it's a little bit closer than it was previously for him, but he does get the overtake done. It looked like Rise was trying to battle back, but just was not able to get that position back. He will remain in 9th. Young DJ now up into P8 as he's chasing down the likes of Racing Ginger. Now back on the podium here, you can still see Porkchops chasing down Kaz, but I think Porkchops is a little bit more aware of the situation, and he'll take the podium any way he can get it here, as he's in 4th. Sticking with Kaz very well to possibly snag that podium from him if he is able to, given the time second penalties. But he's gonna have to drive clean for one more lap as we are starting the final lap of the Grand Prix here today. Houdini is leading, Maida in 2nd, Kaz in 3rd, Porkchops in 4th, and Flavius rounding out the top 5. But keep an eye out on the outside looking in here, as this order could very well change if we're not careful between now and the line, depending on what happens here on the final lap. But Houdini coming through Sector 2. Honestly, a fantastic race from him. He just kept his nose down, did what he had to do, was not fazed by the safety cars, the incidents. He just, he knew there was a job to be done, and the number 13 Ferrari came in, did the job, and right now he is set up to essentially snag the maximum amount of points here for the Division 3 race, and possibly extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship to young DJ CJ, who is way down in 8th. But very much so will be jumping up to P7. But around the final corner across the line, your race winner, Houdini, as that is a fantastic drive from the Ferrari. He is your race winner. Maida crosses the line in P2. Young DJ getting ahead of Racing Ginger on your screen here as they're having a little bit of a battle to the line. But it is going to be Porkchops who gets the podium after penalties. Flavius gets 4th. Kaz drops down to P5. So Maida was safe with that gap. But Kaz, unfortunately, the story is not the same for him. But he still gets a solid P5. Valentine in 6th. K-Dog in 7th. Young DJ CJ down in 8th after all of that. Rise in 9th. Racing Ginger rounding out the top 10. And then Unholy Red Eye, VTech, JST, and Crustier T are the remaining drivers. Just gotta wait for Red Eye and VTech to cross the line. But there you have it. That has been the Hungarian Grand Prix. What a race that was there. Porkchops getting driver of the day. Definitely well deserved for him, if I'm being honest there, with the race he put up. But all the podium runners had a fantastic race. There is the podium, so to say. Houdini, Maida, and Porkchops, they are your podium in that order, 1, 2, and 3. They get to celebrate the champagne. They get the trophies. It is 3 American drivers on the podium, and I'm sure Midwest absolutely loves to see that. I myself here on Canada Day hoping to see a Canadian driver up there, but it was not meant to be. But happy my brothers to the south can represent that podium for us here today. But there you have it. That is your order on your screen. Houdini, from P2 in qualifying to P1 on the grid. Omeda from 4th to 2nd. Pork Chops rounding out the podium from 14th on the grid. What a drive, pulling off a one-stop. That is your podium. Flaveless, Kaz, Valentine, K-Dog, Young DJ CJ, Rise, Racing Ginger rounding out the top 10. So a solid drive from Racing Ginger there too, from P19 all the way down to 10th. And K-Dog from 15th up to 7th. VTech, Unholy Red Eye, J-Stee, Crustier T, Highways, Subtle But Whole, Chunky Corgi, Knuckles, Clogmonger, and Feeman are the remaining drivers there, getting positions 11th through 20th, and that is your grid here. What a drive that was at the Hungaroring. Now, we are just about set to jump into the post-race interviews, so I will be back in just a moment. I will get those invites sent off so we can get some input from the drivers after that very exciting Hungarian Grand Prix. Alrighty, I have gotten the invites sent off. Let's jump into the showroom and await to see if we'll get some drivers to jump in for the post-race interviews. And there we have it. We actually have our second place finisher who jumped in, as well as a third place finisher. Maida, we'll start with you though. So from fourth on the grid up to a podium, up to P2. Fantastic drive from you there. But talk us through it. What were your thoughts here on that race? Ooh, congratulations. Maida. So I'm looking. I've got my chat open here, and it looks like we can't hear you on the stream. With the at the moment. So I think it would be in your up in your party settings that you would need to switch that. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I believe it's the party settings, right? I'm just taking a quick peek at that too. There we go. Looks like it's better now from what I can see on the stream.
I wanted to first give a shout out to young DJ CJ. I want to apologize. There was a virtual safety car where I had to kind of slam on my brakes to increase that gap. at one of those. I got caught in a bad spot. I think I gave him some wing damage, so I want to first apologize for that. But I'm very happy. It's my first D3 podium. Toward the end, I was just trying to keep it clean. I'm racing on a controller, so I think I have a fair amount of throttle control to keep those tires in good condition on accelerations out of the corners. And toward the end there, I think around lap 25, we had a nice 4-car battle going. Me, DJ, CJ, Highways, and one other Houdini, I believe. And we were just, four cars, close quarters racing. It was, nice adrenaline rush. And then towards the end there, I just wanted to finish out strong because I acquired 6 seconds worth of penalties, and just wanted to increase that gap to Kaz. We had one of those invisible battles going where he was at 4.5 seconds, then 5, and then eventually I got to open up to 6 seconds and hold on to P2. So I'm very happy with tonight's race.
Yeah, that was a fantastic race for me, and you pretty much covered the whole race and covered any other follow-up questions I had. So I'll just end it with congratulations, fantastic, all the points, and hoping to see you back up here next weekend as well.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. So we'll move on. I'll take my third place finisher here. Pork chops. Pork, can you hear us at all?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So a fantastic race from you here on what is, I believe, your second race here in Division 3. But from 14th on the grid up to a podium, fantastic drive. But talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that Hungarian Grand Prix?
I was really nervous to pull off a one-stop strategy. I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And I was kind of debating going between the 2 and the 1, decided to go with the 1 very last minute. And that safety car kind of saved me because I was going to pit the next lap anyway. So when that safety car came out, I boxed and put on hards and just tried to push as hard as I could for the remaining laps.
See, now that was, I did notice that you were one of the few drivers, if not the only driver, to pull off a one-stop. Did it cross your mind once that second safety car or even the VSCs come out to maybe take that pit stop, or were you just committed to sticking to your strategy from beginning to end, sticking to that one-stop?
With this race track and being how much time you would lose taking a pit stop, I kind of was committed at that point. Track position versus the time, it was kind of a no-brainer to me to just stick it out on the hards.
All right, and my last question is, after getting that qualifying in 14th, did you see yourself on the podium 35 laps ago when you lined up to start the race?
Not even a little bit.
Well, there you...
I was feeling pretty nervous after seeing I was only 14th and quite a ways back, and I thought for sure young DJ was going to run away with it. And when he got around me just before that first safety car, I was basically just going to push as hard as I could to try and keep everybody behind me as long as I could.
Yeah, well, there we go. Fantastic drive from you, Pork, and congratulations on the solid haul of points and the podium here today.
Thank you.
No problem. And last but not least, we've got Houdini. Houdini, can you hear us at all?
Yes, we can.
So I'm looking here from second on the grid over to first. After what appeared to be a pretty dominant drive from a couple of the drivers. I know young DJ had a good run. Even I think Highway almost ran away with it. But talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that race?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of drivers had great pace. My number one thing was keep it clean. There's a few traction zones on the track where you have to be really careful with the throttle. So it was keep it clean, be fast, and try to make the strategy work. And I didn't know if it a one-stopper or a two-stopper. I thought safety cars would be likely, so I kind of planned on something different on the first the pit. The first two guys went in. I think it was Highways and young DJ CJ went in. So I stayed out another lap and then went on to hards, thinking, well, let's see what these can do. at the next safety car, I pitted for the mediums, knowing that after a couple laps of the safety car that these would make it to the end. But yeah, there were quite a few drivers that had great pace, and I didn't expect to win. I was actually expecting to race for P2 and keep it clean and keep it fast. And it, I'll take whatever I can get the other way. But the P1 was a surprise. I was really going for a podium, but the P1 was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, and that was something, I think maybe that's the answer to, honestly, the second question I had lined up for you, because it looked like after the second safety car restart, Highways kind of just ran off in a no man's land, and I thought it was his race to lose for a decent amount of time. Then he pit, and that was something I wanted to ask. Were you expecting that at all, or were you just thinking
I was completely shocked?
That was his?
I was racing, and I looked up, and I literally said out loud, like, I'm P1? What just happened? Like, he was in front of me by 7 seconds or so, and then all of a sudden he wasn't there. So I don't know if it was a wing damage or spin out, or the tires were just totally terrible. So I don't know what the reason behind that was. But when I said, like, P1, like, what's going on here? So yeah, I mean, it was honestly kind of a lonely race for the first third and the last third. But like one of the other guys just said, there were a multi-car battle for everything. Like, it was a lot of managing the fuel and the ERS to be able to charge forward, but also to defend behind a bunch of really fast guys. So this is one of those tracks where you can't. A friend of mine called it Monaco without the walls. So there's only a few lines you can take, and a mistake anywhere costs you pretty big. So it's hard to pass, but thankful for a lot of clean racing and. Again, a lot of fast people out there doing it today.
Yep, and it definitely worked out for you there. Congratulations on the victory, the podium, the Hall of Points, and as well as extending your lead in the Drivers' Championship here.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. And I think on that note, it's just about going to do it here for the stream here today. What a race that was here around the Hungaroring. Happy you all could be joining us here. And if you did like the racing action, of course, check out MidWest's YouTube channel. Tons more racing there. And you're going to want to tune in next week as we have round 11 as we take to the French Grand Prix, Circuit Paul Ricard. And that is going to be a fantastic race, just like we saw in real-life Formula 1 as well. So you don't want to miss that. But until then, I've been Fallen Monkeys, and on behalf of everybody here at Midwest Formula 1, thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.